welcome back, guys. It's been at least a week probably since we filmed, and to date it a little bit, we're in the early stages of the quarantine and the social distancing and all that stuff that's going on. So we haven't filmed for a little while, and part of it was because we've had a lot of things going on with that, and it just made it tough for Ben and I to connect filming wise. And so we haven't not filmed, or we haven't not done anything with the dog. We just haven't filmed much. But what I have done with her is very little, as far as anything new, nothing new. And I would say, I don't think she's made a retrieve in a week probably. We've gone for some walks. Our family has tried to make a point of getting outside, getting a little active, getting some fresh air. The weather is getting a lot nicer. You can tell I'm in a lot less clothes, no jacket. Snow is melting off. We're just about all gone. And so we are going to go back. We're going to get back into it today with some retrieves with her. And really what we're going to do is, I thought about it before, you know, it's been a pretty solid break of progress in what we've been working on. And so I'm going to kind of go back to, we have done this since, but we went for a spell there where we worked on getting her to go back for multiple dummies to the same spot. It came up because there was a bit of an issue that was coming up. I just posted one of her videos from a couple weeks ago, and her steadiness was not very good. Since then we've worked on, I made these mental notes and we worked on building her steadiness up. So I'm going to show you kind of that progress as well. We'll test that a little bit after a week of doing not much. I don't think it's the worst thing at times to take breaks. I don't think you want to take breaks and let the dog go backwards. I think it's good to break up what I call progressive training, where we're working on figuring something out. I do think consistency and repetition is real important. You got to do something over and over and over again to form the habit. I think sometimes we do that and then we take a break from it, and it allows her to, and and it's exactly what we've done here. And now today we're going to come back to it. I'm going to see how much has been kind of stuck and how much is similar to the problems we were having before, and then we'll make another plan, and maybe we go back to some consistency of, let's do this for 4 or 5 more days in a row and see how that sticks. So I do think that it's just a real fluid, ongoing thing when it comes to the training. I don't necessarily like taking a week off of doing anything, but that's just the situation that we are in. So so what we're going to do is, we're back in the exact same spot that we've done this before. We had a trail. I ran it down with the snowmobile to make it easier for us walking. That worked good for a while, and then it became icy, and that kind of, we had to move and do this in a different location. But we're going to set this up with a dummy up in those cattails next to the pheasant pen. She is going to have to run past those pheasants, make a retrieve in there, and then we're going to have a long double. And so we're going to go back into that cover on the other side, and we're going to go push into that cover, and we're going to send her on that. I may end up setting this one up with 2 dummies and 1 back there. One of the things that she's never had a real issue with is going back into that cover. This is like a pattern memory for her. She understood the concept of this drill pretty well by the time we were done doing it. Then what we're going to do is take a walk, and actually we probably won't be able to do it where we did it in the past, where we had that trail that kind of went through that strip of woods. That's probably all underwater right now, now that I think about it. But we'll take a look at it. We'll walk through there. I can do some steadiness stuff and denials on the way over, and when we're done with that, we'll check and see. If that doesn't work, we might just flip it and run it through on a little bit higher ground. I could probably set it up on that trail as well. So we're probably just going to make this circle and get a circuit, if you will, of opportunities for spots to set up a very similar drill in a way that's almost going to check how much has stuck. This last weekend we were up north, and I worked on her, and she actually took a little blind. She made a little retrieve on a blind. I set it up as a memory. It was down a walking path that was all ice. There's a lot of snow up there yet, so it was a clear walking path. We set it up as a memory. She made a couple of retrieves. She made 3 retrieves out of this one spot where they're all memories. Later that day, I pitched a dummy without her seeing it. And I sent her down the little runway. It was from here to the pen away, so it's not very far. It's 20, 25 yards. And she ran down the trail and she picked the dummy and brought it back to me. And that really was a little blind for her. So what it told me was, boy, she is getting it, this idea of lining out, taking a line when I tell her there's one there. But then later that day I tried it in a little bit different situation, and I tried pushing her through a little bit of cover on a blind short, and she just didn't hold it. She just didn't push through. I salvaged it by just simply getting her closer to it, sending her again. She found it. That was it. So I just made the mental note of, you know, she's just getting to that point. So let's set this up. I'm going to heel her out. We're going to work on, I'm going to show you, I don't think anything will have faded with her heel work. Her heel work is really good. Now that the snow has melted, this grass is probably a little bit more tempting to put the nose down. So I'm going to leave the lead on to start out with and make sure that I got those 2 little corrections in there. They were firm, they weren't overly, but they were enough to say, get your nose up, focus on what's going on here. Let's start out here. Now that's pretty wet in there too, which is fine. Watch. Watch. Heel. Got some real good natural distractions here. We got the geese are starting to show back up. Got some wood ducks starting to show back up. We've hung 5 wood duck houses this last weekend. Watch. Watch. That's perfect for her to just watch that, not be allowed to be distracted to the point where it gets into being an issue, and then we just work her off of it. That just worked out as a really nice distraction for her. Now you can see I took it off lead, and so I sweep my foot under her nose. Keep her nose up. Sit, good, heel. Her heel work off lead has been really nice, to the point where she sinks into position really naturally without even being told. I'm walking around and I've got her in really nice heel position even when there's other dogs around, and I'm not asking her to do it. So that is becoming a really good habit. Come on. Heel. Sit. Sit. Ben, I'm going to have you get behind us. Sit. 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 That's become quite sloppy. Now we went almost the full distance here. We're just about to the end here. In the past, we've had to do this a lot shorter, especially with the second dummy. I'm just going to get a hold of this just as an insurance. Watch. Bella. Right past those birds perfectly. Good girl. Hunting through that cover a little bit. Come on. Come on. Come on. I can see she's kind of wrestling with it right now. Come on, let's go. Come on. Good girl. I don't want her in the habit of fooling around with it. A couple episodes before this, we did a series for Whitetail Properties, and she started picking up a real antler as part of that series. Good. Hold. Come on. Come on. Hold. Hold. Good. Right here. Right here. Come on. Come on. Sit. 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 Real hesitant to sit. Good. Good. So we did this series with Whitetail Properties. Good. Hold. Good. Dead. Good dog. Sit. And when we brought the real antler into it, so we did it over the course of a couple weeks. Sit. And we worked on, one of the sessions was doubles, and the idea of picking up antlers off the ground as opposed to being thrown. Sit. Sit. Real reluctant, and it's wet, so is she reluctant? Sit. Is she reluctant to sit in the water? Maybe. The second one we did was some nose work, and then the third one that we did was the real antler. And when we got to the real antler, we ran into the first time I've seen her get a little play-like with it, little puppy-like, flipping the antler around, and I think it was because it was a hard horn in her mouth. It felt very different from what she's used to picking up. Didn't feel real comfortable and natural, like something that's soft or a bird would be. So what I don't want to do is I'm going to be very cautious, and I'm going to be very observant of the idea of I'm not going to allow a habit to form of playing around with the dummy before I pick it up. So now that I couldn't tell because it's so far away. Was it just stuck in the weeds? Was it in the water? It could have been in the water because there's a lot of water there. How was she fooling around to get it out? I don't know exactly the reason, so I'm not going to correct her by any means. I'm not going to tell her no. Instead, you heard me encourage her. Get her back, get her back, get her back, get her back. Finally, she picked it up clean and came running. She did drop it here short. I don't think it was to play with. I think she might have stepped on the rope of it. But we're going to see now this second one. There's a lot of time in between here. Lots of birds and distracting things, and so what I am going to do is I am going to take a step forward. I want to make sure that this second one is successful. Heel. I'm not going to send her if I don't think it is going to be. Sit. Sit. Watch. Bella. 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 Good. No, 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 no. Here. Here. Boy, she took... Here, 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 here. Her eyes were very good. Here. Her focus was really good down the line. And so I'm surprised that she didn't take that line. As soon as she hesitated, I probably shouldn't have sent her. Sit, 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 watch, watch, watch. Got a rooster cackle right there, that's all right. Distracting, heel. Sit, sit. Watch. Watch. Bella. Good girl. Her head was swiveling a little bit, and so I wasn't going to send her until it straightened out. But this is real good. That's a little bit of memory. That's a little bit of confidence in the idea of I should go. Good girl. It's a much cleaner pickup. Good dog. Good dog. Come on. So I'm going to back up to the original spot of where we were going to send her. Right here. Hold, hold, hold. Good. Very nice. Very nice. Sit up. Sit up. Sit up. Sit up. Good. Good girl. Dead. Dead. Very nice. Good girl. Right here, right here, right here. Sit. Good. Good. Very nice. Now, I'm going to heel her over here. We're going to set this one up as our double. Gonna do it a little bit differently, not gonna heel her in all the way. Gonna put her on a sit to the whistle. I'm gonna come in myself here. Pitch the dummy in. A little bit more of a sight memory. It's a real short one, but not walking her all the way in. Heel. Now I want to make sure we give her that watch cue. I almost forgot on it. Watch. Watch. Heel. Let her keep that in her mind. Now that's going to be an important one because that one's going to come last. So I don't want to skip that step of having her watch. I'm probably gonna, one of the things I'm gonna do this time is a little less fooling around. I'm not gonna put as much time into it, delay. We're gonna go out, we're gonna set these dummies, we're gonna come back, we're gonna send her. And we're just gonna keep this one in particular, this setup, moving a little quicker. And I think what it'll do is help her execute on it without getting cold, without having to giving her as much chance to forget about it. Remember, you know, she's really young, and I don't need her to wait 10 minutes and turn it into a blind. I do need my older dogs to do that, but she's not there yet, so we got to be careful on how much we put on her, especially coming off of 7 to 10 days of really doing nothing. Nose up. Heel. Now, instead of doing it the way I was going to do, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send her on that first one. Sit. Good. Watch. Bella. Let's just make it very simple. Set it up like a very basic double that we've done a lot of. It's just at a little bit bigger distance is all. No reason to leave that one any longer. So we're really simply setting this up as bang bang double double. Good girl. Good dog. Good dog. And so the other reason I did it this way is let's finish on one that she's already made, not finish on one for the first time. So this double, instead of sending her on this one and then sending her on that one, she hasn't made this retrieve yet in a while. Here, right here, right here. No, 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 come on. Hold, correct that. That little bit of sloppy delivery, just reposition it. I've been talking a lot about hold conditioning lately on podcasts, come here. And she's not been hold conditioned. But I've made a mistake of not saying we're working on hold conditioning without even doing hold conditioning. And if you look back, if you look back on our old videos, sit, you'll notice we've been starting to shape and form this hold conditioning for a long time. Watch, heel. I'm gonna give her another thought on it. Another reason to think about that one. Now we're going to take her back to that first spot and send her on the long double. But what we've been doing with this hold conditioning is I haven't made a point strong enough, and I say it because too many people are sending me messages but with these issues. But you don't hold off on hold conditioning until you got a hell of a big problem. Instead, don't create the hell of a big problem. That's what makes hold conditioning easy. Don't screw it up in the first place. So by me just making that adjustment on her positioning of the dummy, that was helping make hold easier when we actually do it formally. heel, heel. I've been pretty consistent and pretty picky with that hold positioning, heel. That hold, that positioning of the dummy, the delivery, all that stuff I've been really picky with. Come on, sit. All right, I'm gonna let Ben get back and I wanna send her quickly on this. Watch. Bella. Good. Good girl. That's enough to push her. Good. Good girl. It confirms she's doing the right thing. She's a little short there. Good. Little short, so she's got to push through it. Now she's got to hunt a little. You can see she's confused. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? She's hunting short. She's where that last one was, which was shorter and to the left. She's hunted that area out. Can't find it. Can't find it. This one's a little bit deeper than the first two. Not by much. Not by much, but enough. She's gonna get wind. Good girl. Very nice. And that little, I got an old piece of, from that corn crib there, you see every time she jumps over it. Good. That's just a nice little barrier to build in. We're going to start working her jumping over a little fence. Hold, hold, hold. Very good. Very good. Doesn't go past me because I make a point of paying attention to it, not allowing it to happen. Again, that's hold conditioning work. It's sloppy in her mouth right now. Adjust it. Hold. Hold. Sit. I'd like to get her to come up and just be patiently holding. Very nice. Hold, not in a hurry to take it away. Did. When I do, give it back to her. Good. Hold. Call her to you. Get another delivery. Right here. Right here. Hold. Hold right here. Don't let her ramp up. Right here. Don't let her walk away. Right there. Good. Very nice. This is the end product that we want when we're done with hold. Did. So why not start laying the groundwork for it right now? Hold. Good. Come on. And it's not like we're starting it right now. We've been doing this since she was 10, 12 weeks old. Today we got her back here. 10 weeks I think she was. Did. Good. Heel. 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 You can see she's pretty sporty. I mean, this isn't putting a big damper on it. It's not making her down. It's not getting her down. It's not taking any enthusiasm away from her. It's not pulling any retrieve out of her in a negative way. But it isn't allowing her to bubble over. It's not allowing her to lose control, mentally or physically. She's a real stable dog right now. This session, she learned in this session because of that state of mind. I just read an article, a good one, it was in Project Upland, and it was a guy wrote it. He was talking about pointers, but he was talking about the five, I think he said 5 stages of mental state of mind that a dog can get in. And this stable state of mind, this calm state of mind, that's when they learn. If they're scared, they don't learn. If they're avoiding something out of fear, they're not going to learn. If they're so spun up and so excited, they're not going to learn. If they're anything but in a good, calm state of mind, I call it stable, they're just not going to learn anything. And right now, she's learned. Look at her ears. Look at her body language right now. She's sharp, but she's very under control. And I'm going to end it. I'm going to end the session today. That was plenty. Coming off of 10 days of not doing anything, that was just fine. Good way to ease back into it. Good little litmus test of where are we at. We're not a lot further along than we were when we ended. We're not behind though either. And we got a chance to give her a little bit of exercise. That's the other thing that's probably the biggest thing that I've seen her struggle with, and all of our dogs struggle with the last couple days, that we haven't gotten outside a lot and haven't done a lot of real formal sessions of training. We have tried to make a point of going for a walk. and that alone helps, but it's nice to be able to do the walk plus a session like this. She will be so much more relaxed this afternoon and just curl up and sleep. She'll act like she's exhausted. It's because we've challenged her mentally. I had a question from a person that said, what do you do to burn off energy? I don't just let them burn off energy, because all that does is condition them to become more athletic and more physical energy needed to burn in order to get tired. I challenge them as much mentally as I do physically, and I feel that's the best way to tire them out. It's a combination of both, but I can walk a dog 50 yards in good heel position with 15, 20 turns and make them adjust to me rather than letting them run 5 miles. The dog that does 50 yards under control, lots of turns, lots of thinking, gets to do some physical stuff, but he has to think the whole time. He will be more tired than the dog that ran 5 miles of just mindless running, unless that dog doesn't run. But so maybe he'd be tired after a mile or 2, but then the next time you do that, you go, oh, that worked really good. I'm gonna run him another mile or 2. Pretty soon a mile or 2 is expected to be every day, and they don't get tired from it anymore. It's just like an athlete that trains for running. The more you run, the better you get at running. The less tired you get when you run. You become conditioned. And then you got to run more and more and more and more to even have the effects that you're looking for. The same is true with these dogs. Just letting them run mindlessly just makes them harder to get tired. And we need to do that at times too, because we need to condition them to get them physically ready for hunting seasons and different things that we're going to be doing activities-wise with them. But that's not the way we're going to get them to settle in at night, is by trying to figure out how to burn off energy. You're just going to create a monster. So that's a good session for her. We'll bring her back, we'll put her on place. She'll lay there the rest of the afternoon and she'll probably sleep real well. And for me, it was a good way to kind of see where we're at. Now I go home, now I go back and I put together a better plan of what do we need to work on. We need to work on sit to the whistle. We got to start, because we're going to start handling her pretty quick. At some point I am going to hold condition her, and I just don't know when. We're going to continue to work on the gunfire. I'm going to slowly work the gunfire in a little bit. That's on my list of things coming up here pretty quick. Sit to the whistle at remote is going to be important. And I can practice that on the way back. We can work on this is time to get extra work in. Sit. Real sloppy. I mean, that is a step back, but we haven't done it. So we need to I'll make all these notes of what do we got to work on. Sit. Sit. Heel. Good. Good. The third time. Sit. She doesn't like sitting in this water. You're going to have to. Heel. Good. Fourth time. You can just see the improvement, because all of a sudden we're re-engaging her mind into this thing that we've done before. We're doing it again. That's a perfect example of, it doesn't take a lot to get this stuff rekindled in them, as long as you do a good job of imprinting it. It'll come back very quickly. It's not a temporary, the way we train is not temporary. It's permanent. It will get rusty and you'll have to polish it up, but it's going to stick in them. It's not a temporary thing, and you don't get temporary results. And I think sometimes, not to bash other training, but sometimes I see other styles of training become very temporary. It's under very certain conditions that the dog responds the way you want them to. They're smart. I don't want them to perform because of certain elements that I add to it. A collar, for example. I don't want a dog to listen only when he's got a collar on, because he knows if he doesn't, he's going to get hurt. So I want a dog to listen because it becomes a habit. I want the habit to form because it became through consistency and repetition. It's behavioral expectations that we have that are ongoing regardless of any other influence. So that's something that we'll need to work on. Good. Heel. And these are easy ways to get it in without taking any extra time. Hell, I got to walk home anyway. I got to walk back to the house anyway. Take an extra 2 or 3 minutes and get these sits in. Sit. Good. Heel. Heel. Good. So we can turn it into a little game, and now I'm not even correcting. Now, I'm not putting any pressure on the lead. I had to put 4 corrections on her to get a change before, and now we're already past that. So that's it for today. We're gonna do this the rest of and then we'll get back after it. We need to get more consistent. We just got to figure out schedules. We got to figure out how we're gonna do this over the next few weeks, especially. And everybody at home is going through the same thing. We are going to, if you're following us on our other stuff, other social media stuff, you'll see we're gonna have a series coming out that we're doing, and we've decided to do it right now because it's, I think, something that's going to help you at home training your own dog. And what better time to have that information than right now with the stuff that's going on out there from a corona standpoint. So we're going to be launching that. You will see this much later than when that launches, but that's going to be coming out as well. And so we're doing our best on our end. You do the best on your end, and in the end, I think we're all going to be just fine. So, and that's not just corona wise, but like big picture with our dogs. So yeah.
Drive home, and I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if you